What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Tonight, it's Wednesday evening as I record this. We're going to go over the Week 13 fantasy preview. We're going to go through every game on the slate. Only Arizona and we got Arizona and the Carolina Panthers on bye. So two teams not playing this weekend. We got a fun 15-game slate. We'll go over every game, and I have a link in the description if you guys want to follow along. And the first chart we're going to see here is the DraftKings Sportsbook team total projection. So I take all the spreads, I get the game totals, and then it spits out an algorithm for me to get the team total. So Chiefs projected to score the most points here. At the bottom of the list, you have the Broncos, Colts, Rams. These offenses not in the best shape for this week. So use that tool. And then let's get right into it. Our Thursday night football game, the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots. Fun game here. On the Buffalo side, I think you're for sure. I mean, we're starting Josh Allen. He remains the top quarterback. Devin Singletary, I think he does belong as a low-end RB2. I think there are some points, maybe. I guess we're a little bit nervous about the Patriots. Let me go to our fantasy points allowed tool. Patriots defense is pretty damn good. In terms of running back points, they are the number one team here, only allowing about 15.5 points to the position. So Singletary, kind of a low-end RB2 flex play. I think Stephon Diggs is in your lineup. And Dawson Knox, the one thing that the Patriots do allow is tight end points. They rank, the 28th here. So they allow a ton of fantasy points here. They've allowed 8 touchdowns. We saw a good game the other night from TJ Hawkinson, so 13.48 points here. I think you're looking at a good Dawson Knox potential game. And then Gabe Davis, he's the low-end wide receiver 3 flex. Again, I think my stance on Gabe Davis has been the same all year. If you have him, you're going to leave him in there. You don't want to miss any big game. He's going to get you, 5 to 7 points on a bad game, and he can get you 20 plus anytime he hits a good game. Isaiah McKenzie could be a low-end PPR wide receiver 3 if you need it. I'm open to starting this Buffalo defense. We've seen them allow some points lately, so they haven't been a strong play, but it is New England. They do struggle on offense sometimes. James Cook, Naheem Hines, Khalil Shakir just say no. On the New England side, I think we're kind of excited for sure about Ramondre Stevenson. Damian Harris has been officially ruled out, so I'll change that to O. So it's going to be the Ramondre Stevenson show. He's a top 5, top 10 running back in PPR formats, basically any formats. I expect him to have a pretty good night. Mac Jones, a quarterback 2 option for Superflex leagues. He kind of came alive last week against Minnesota, so he's interesting. Jacoby Myers, a nice wide receiver 3 PPR play. And then Hunter Henry, he's been pretty low all season long, but it looks like he had finally a good game last week. The Buffalo Bills, let's see here. Where do they rank against tight end? They are a top 10 team against tight end here, so they only allow about 10 points here, so it's not a great start. Nelson Aguilar, though, if you need someone deeper, he's an interesting guy. He might be a DraftKings, a single slate daily game guide, maybe Devontae Parker. So not too much on the Patriots side. It's Ramondre, it's Jacoby, and then for the Bills, it's Allen, Diggs, Knox, and maybe Gabe Davis. Say no to the Patriots defense. I know they've been playing well, but we'll leave all these guys on the bench here. So huge game. The Patriots are 6-5. Buffalo needing to keep them in pace with Miami. So we'll see what happens in this one. I think Buffalo can pull it off, but I expect a pretty good punch from the Patriots as they're kind of fighting for their lives at this point. It's almost like a playoff game every week out. The first Sunday early game here, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Atlanta Falcons. Not a fun game here. For fantasy, though, it could be kind of fruitful. Kenny Pickett's a quarterback 2 for Superflex leagues. I have Najee Harris listed here as a running back 2. I don't know if he's going to play. He did leave that game early on Monday Night Football, but we'll see here. I'm going to hit the practice reports for these guys and see if they have anything uploaded in. Najee did not practice, so I'm going to lean towards him not playing as of today. We'll see about Jalen Warren, who got a full practice. So if someone's going to start, it's going to be Jalen Warren with Benny Snell behind him. So we'll monitor that throughout the week. You're starting George Pickens. You're starting Pat Freiermuth. I do think Deontay Johnson's probably the guy that's like, we want more from him. He's a wide receiver 3 flex at this point. The Falcons, pretty bad against wide receiver here. They see him at the top of this list. They're allowing almost 38 points to the wide receiver position. So we like Pickens. Maybe Deontay can get his first touchdown of the season, start the Steelers defense. And then again, I have Jalen Warren questionable, but the fact that he practiced in full today looks pretty good. He might be an RB2 for us. Go stash him on your waiver wires if you can. On the Atlanta side, I don't have a lot of confidence in this team. I think Mariota is just a quarterback 2 option for Superflex. Cordero Patterson remains kind of like a low-end RB2 play. And then Drake London's more of just like a deep wide receiver 3 flex play if you need it. I don't love it. I'm trying to avoid Falcons if I can. Say no to that Falcons defense, and then we'll leave these guys here on the bench. So one of the more uglier games of the noon slate here, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh on the road. Moving on to the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. Questions at the quarterback positions for both. Aaron Rodgers has said, though, that he's going to play and that he wants to play. So I fully expect him to be active in this one. With Justin Fields, let's see if he got an limited participation in today. He is listed as limited. So he's on track to play after sitting out last week. So if you have Justin Fields, let's monitor Thursday and Friday and see what's up. But with him in mind, I mean, either way, if Fields plays, you're going to use David Montgomery. He's a running back too, and really that's the only guy that we want on the Bears. With Darnell Mooney out for the year, I mean, sure, you could try Chase Claypool or Cole Kmet. I don't trust these guys in my lineup every week. If Fields plays, I'll play him, but otherwise it's only Montgomery. And if Fields doesn't play, you can still use David Montgomery. With the Packers side, Rodgers remains like a nice quarterback 2 option. He has been throwing touchdowns lately, so if you need him as a QB1, I'm fine with it. Aaron Jones must be in your lineups. A.J. Dillon came alive last week against the Philadelphia Eagles, so he could be an RB2 flex play if you need it. But Christian Watson at this point, kind of like Gabe Davis, we know he has huge big play potential. He's gotten 4 catches in 3 straight games. He's got what? I think it's like six touchdowns over the last 3 games here too. So continue to use him. The Bears secondary is pretty banged up. And then Allen Lazard's actually kind of taking the back seat since Watson has emerged. So he's more of a flex play. I'm starting Watson. Let me know if you have questions on Lazard. Maybe the Packers defense. I'll use the Packers defense if it's not Justin Fields. So we'll keep that in mind. Otherwise, Love, Cobb, Tunyon. I'll see if Romeo Dobbs is going to be back. I want to see if he practiced today. Romeo, limited practice, so he's on track to play. The Packers might be getting healthy here at the right time. So I'm going to lean Packers in this one, pending Justin Fields' health. Kind of a fun game here for fantasy football. You have the Jacksonville Jags at the Detroit Lions. You want to get Trevor Lawrence in your lineup in this one. He's a top 10 play. The Lions allow, I believe it's the most points to the quarterback position. There you go. Almost 23, almost 24 points to the position. So he's a pretty good play this week. And if we like him, we're going to like Christian Kirk. And I think if you picked up Zay Jones, he's a wide receiver 3 flex. We're going to watch the health of Travis Etienne all week here. He was listed as limited, so he's on track to play. I like that he's not missing practice. If he plays, you're going to play him. If not, we're going to play JaMychal Hasty. Maybe start that Jags defense. Marvin Jones maybe as a deep flex here, but otherwise I'm going to kind of steer clear of all these guys here that I have on the bench. If you're in need of a tight end, I suppose Evan Ingram, but he really has been struggling lately, so I don't trust him. On the Lions side, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's great. You have Jamal Williams. That's great too. Those guys are must starts. I think Jared Goff for a super flex quarterback too. That's fine. He's kind of like a top 15, top 20 play. DeAndre Swift, he continues to find a way to get, between 8 to 10 points. He's only going to get about 8 to 12 touches per game, I think, for the rest of the year. So he's more of a, I kind of view him as kind of like in the A.J. Dillon tier where he needs a touchdown to, make your week, but otherwise he's only going to get a handful of touches. So he's an RB2 flex. And then DJ Chark, watch for him. He should be a guy that in 12-team leagues, I think he should be picked up. He's the number 2 receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown has had a lot of mileage, and he's kind of looking gimpy at times. So DJ Chark, a guy that had a good game back last week, scored a touchdown. I'm open to him being valuable. They kind of poured some cold water on Jameson Williams. I don't know if we're going to see him this game. But we will definitely watch his reports and see if he goes. But otherwise, keep it simple. Just use the guys that we trust. I'm going to go Jacksonville on the road, but I think Detroit can be prickly in this one and see if they can pull it off. The New York Jets at the Minnesota Vikings. The Mike White New York Jets. I think if you're in Superflex leagues, Mike White, a nice option for Superflex. The Vikings are a pretty bad defense right now in terms of fantasy points. You see they rank 28th. They almost allow 20 points to the position. So Mike White, definitely a streaming option. And then with Mike White, that's going to boost all the other skill players. So Garrett Wilson, you want him in your lineup as a wide receiver 3. Tyler Conklin, a nice fringe tight end 1 play if you need it. And then look at all the flexes that I got here. I think Ty Johnson is pretty safe for PPR purposes as a flex or an RB2. And then Zonovan Knight, a bit of a gamble here. James Robinson should be active. He was a healthy scratch last week. I expect Robinson to be involved in this one. They're going to use 3 RBs, but Zonovan Knight looked good, 14 for 64 last week and 3 for 34 as a receiver. So he would be my guy if you picked him up off waivers, RB2 flex, and then maybe Elijah Moore if you need a deep play. And then I'm open to starting that Jets defense, man. They've been pretty stifling. If you look at fantasy points allowed, they are in the top 10 here. So I guess overall they're even, they rank 5th. So it's a tough matchup for the Vikings. We'll leave all these guys on the bench. Keep an eye on Corey Davis as he's getting healthy. He might be a factor at some point. On the Viking side, Kirk Cousins is just a QB2 option. Again, this Jets defense is pretty damn good. You're starting Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson, and I think TJ Hawkinson has earned himself as a must-start tight end. Adam Thielen's the big question. I think with the tough matchup against the Jets, I would shy away from Thielen. Let me know if you have questions there. Probably not going to trust that Vikings defense, and then nobody on the bench here that I think is worth holding on to at the moment besides Madison as a handcuff. So tough game here. I think the Jets have the momentum. Vikings haven't looked great the last couple of games. They were able to eke out a win against the Patriots, but I think the Jets are going to give them a fight as they're fighting for their playoff lives. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna take the Jets in this one. We'll go Jets over Vikings. A huge game in the NFC East is next. The Washington Commanders at the New York Jets. You have Taylor Heineke playing pretty good football. I think he's a QB2 option for Superflex leagues. You love Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 2 or 3, whatever you need him as. And then we have 2 flex options at the running back. You have Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson. A couple weeks ago, it looked like Antonio Gibson, he was the main guy. But last week, when they were able to control the clock and play from ahead, Brian Robinson had his best fantasy game of his young career. So I'm interested in both guys at RB2 flex plays. If I had to start one, I suppose I will go with Brian Robinson today. Start that Commanders defense. We're not too super scared about the Giants. And then lately, Curtis Samuel, man, he's seen a decline in production the last 3 games. He found a way to score a touchdown a couple of weeks ago, but I think at this point he's too much of a risk. You have a healthy Logan Thomas, a healthy Jahan Dotson. I think I'm just going to stay away from those guys. I'm only going to use Terry as a pass catcher. On the Giants side, you're starting Saquon Barkley. And I think Daniel Jones is a nice QB2 option. He's been playing like a low-end QB1 all year, but this is a tough matchup on paper. If we look at the points allowed to the QB position, the Commanders, they do rank middle of the road here against QB. But I had a chart that I put up. If you want to check this out, I tweeted out a link here. Just click on this, and you can see over the last 5 weeks, the Commanders, a top 10 team against the QB here. So it's a tough matchup for the Giants offense and Daniel Jones. I do think Darius Slayton is an interesting wide receiver 3 flex. And in PPR leagues, I suppose Richie James is their starting slot receiver. He can be used. He should probably be picked up. Both Giants receivers should be picked up. The Giants defense is startable. I don't expect this game to be a high scoring game. And then all these guys here will leave on the bench. And again, I say it every week. One of my favorite tools, if you guys need a tool when it comes to like selecting defenses, go to week 13 spreads here under the content tab. And essentially, again, this is that same chart that we had looked at the beginning of the show. You want to start teams here going against the teams on the left. So Denver Broncos only projected to score about 15 points. You want to start the Ravens. You want to start the Cowboys, the Seahawks, the Bucks, the Bills, the Philadelphia Eagles. All these teams here are pretty good plays. So there's Washington. The Giants are right there with them. But we'll move on here. I'm going to go Washington Commanders on the road. Super fun game here. AFC versus NFC. Pretty good elite teams here. Tennessee Titans at the Philadelphia Eagles. We don't have any injury concerns that we're watching in this one, but it's pretty simple for both sides. Like we know they're studs. You're going to start everybody here. So Jalen Hurts, yes. Miles Sanders, yes. He looked amazing against the Packers. I hope that carries over. Now it is a tough matchup. The Titans are one of the better teams against the running back position. Here they go. They rank 7th here. So only about 20 points per game to the RBs. They've only allowed 5 touchdowns all year. It's a tough matchup. So Sanders, he's playing great. You still want to use him as RB2. And then A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. A.J. Brown revenge game. So you want to fire him up for sure. But both receivers really should be busy and in your lineups. I'm open to starting that Eagles defense. And then Watkins, Gainwell, Scott, will leave those guys on the bench. For the Titans, it's Tannehill as a low-end QB2 option for Superflex leagues only. You're starting Derrick Henry, and then Treylon Burks, guys, like he's here. He's a wide receiver 3 flex play probably for the rest of the year. And it's just that fun dynamic of A.J. Brown going up against his former team, Treylon Burks filling in for A.J. Brown. Should be fun. Say no to that Titans defense, and then we'll leave all these guys here on the bench. No one I really trust. So we're at that point of the year, week 13. You got to go with the guys we trust. So I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles in this one. Jalen Hurts continues to play hot. A low-scoring game here. The Denver Broncos at the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are pretty simple. You're starting Lamar Jackson. You're starting Mark Andrews. The questions after that, do you trust Gus Edwards? He looked good last week. He had 16 carries and a touchdown. RB2 if you need it. Again, I don't love it, but he can be useful for you. You're starting that Broncos or that you're starting the Ravens defense, no doubt. That's one of the best plays of the week. And then you have a bunch of guys down here, Deshaun Jackson, Kenyon Drake, Devin Duvernay, Demarcus Robinson. I think all those guys should be left on your bench. I did see a note on the Ravens, though, that I want to call to attention, and it's probably J.K. Dobbins likely to return. at some point here. Maybe not this week here, but I want to pull it up for you so you can see. He's designated to return from injury reserve. So usually when this happens, when a guy's designated to return, they're going to let him practice for a week. Then they're going to say he's inactive for the week, and then he'll probably play week 14. So that's where I'm looking at him. If he's available in your league, go ahead and stash him. On the Broncos side, it's not a fun offense right now. Russell Wilson's he's barely as a quarterback 2 for Superflex leagues. He's kind of like Ryan Tannehill at this point. Latavius Murray, though, an interesting RB2 flex play if you need it. He's going to get the touches. And then Cortland Sutton remains in our lineups as a wide receiver 3. Let me look and see, did Jerry Jeudy practice today? I have Jerry Jeudy as did not practice, so that's not looking good. I'm going to assume he's not playing in this one. If he doesn't play, Kendall Hinton's a wide receiver 3 flex. So we do know the Ravens allow wide receiver points, and they allow outside receiver points. We saw Zay Jones light this up. It might be a big game for Cortland Sutton here, so fire him up. The Broncos defense is startable. They've been pretty good all year. The Ravens offense has not been hot. But Dulcich, Marlon Mack, Brandon Johnson, Jerry Jeudy, and then I'm going to add, if you can snag Mike Boone to your lineup if you need a running back, put him in the end of your bench and just see what happens. He might be a factor down the stretch. So ugly game. I think the Ravens are a tough team here, so I'm going to go with them at home. Now we have the fun one, the Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans. For the Texans, like Dameon Pierce, I get it. The Texans team in general has just been asked the last 2 games. Dameon Pierce has only gotten us, 8 PPR points. So he's on the fence here. But because the matchup is so good, the Browns allow a ton of running back points here. I'm starting Dameon Pierce this week, and it might be the last chance I get to do so. So fire him up if you need it. Let me know if you have questions there. Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins are just wide receiver 3 flex plays if you need it. I would rather start Nico Collins at this point. Say no to the Texans defense. And then it's all about the Browns in this game. I think Deshaun Watson, limit your expectations. I know a lot of people are excited about it. Oh, they should kill the Texans. I get it, but Texans are a funnel defense. They're actually pretty stout against quarterbacks and wide receivers. So Nick Chubb, best player on this team. He's going to be the leading guy in this game. Deshaun Watson, he's more of a QB2 for Superflex for me this week. I think you're starting Amari Cooper. You're starting David Njoku. Those guys are mainstays in your lineup. And then the real flex decision is Donovan Peoples-Jones. Start that Browns defense, and then lately Kareem Hunt has just been a non-factor in this offense, so he's on the bench for me. Schwartz, David Bell, Harrison Bryant, leave those guys on the sideline. But it's all about Deshaun Watson coming back. We'll see if he gets booed or not, but I'm going with the Browns in this game. Let's look at the Sunday late games. You have the Seattle Seahawks and the LA Rams. We'll be quick about this. The Rams, I've been saying it throughout the last week, they're swirling down the drain, swirling down the toilet right now. If you must play a Ram, it's going to be Kyren Williams. I don't know if it's Kyren or Kieran. I've been saying it both ways all year. But Williams starting to take over that backfield. He's going to lead the team in carries and probably be, good for 2 or 3 catches per game. So if you need an RB2 for PPR, I like Kyren Williams. I even like him more than a Gus Edwards type. And then the number 1 receiver is just Van Jefferson. Maybe we'll see Bryce Perkins. Maybe it's John Wolford. But otherwise, I'm totally on stay away mode from the Rams offense. Just don't do it. The Seahawks, though, we like what they got going on, and they're super simple. You're starting Geno Smith, top 10, top 12 QB. You're starting Kenneth Walker, who's been a league winner lately, and then DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are both in your lineups. After that, there's nothing here. Start the Seahawks defense. Again, this matchup's pretty damn good, but otherwise, we just don't trust anybody on this. So we're at that point of the year, guys, where we just know who's going to get the ball. And Tyler Lockett, he scored 4 straight touchdowns in 4 games. Like we love Lockett, we love Metcalf. We love the Seahawks right now. So we'll go with them on the road against the Rams. Now, one of the more fun, exciting games of the day is Miami at San Francisco. You have Mike McDaniel returning to San Francisco to coach against his former team. On the Dolphins side, I think Tua, kind of a low-end QB1. I'm okay with sticking with him. It's a tough matchup. Niners are pretty good on D. Jeff Wilson, I'm still going to – I know he disappointed us last weekend, but, guys, he still got us 12 points. He still got a touchdown. Go with Jeff Wilson as an RB2. You're starting Tyreek. You're starting Waddle, and that's it from the Dolphins. I'm open to starting that Miami Dolphins defense. Raheem Mostert, Trent Sherfield, River Crockcraft, Mike Gesicki, Durham Smythe, all on the bench for us. Keep an eye on Myles Gaskin. He might be a guy that gets more opportunities if Raheem Mostert's out. On the 49er side, Jimmy G, a rock-solid QB2 for Superflex leagues. I suppose if you need to stream someone, he's up there with Trevor Lawrence and the like of that. But otherwise, McCaffrey, super disappointing last weekend. He's got the knee irritation now, so I don't think he's going to be the bell cow. He's not a top 5 running back to me. He's a nice low-end RB1. But we need more from Christian McCaffrey. We know Elijah Mitchell's on the IR for the rest of the year, so hopefully McCaffrey can come through. Go ahead and start Debo, start Ayuk, start George Kittle. It's going to be a huge George Kittle game. The Dolphins are pretty soft against the tight end position, so I love all those guys there. And then that 49ers defense, I suppose it's startable. I don't trust it. It's a good matchup here. The Dolphins should be able to score points. And then on the bench, because Elijah Mitchell's out, Jordan Mason needs to be picked up. He is the next man up, I believe. He should be the RB2. Jawan Jennings made some plays last week. And then keep an eye on Tyrion Davis-Price. He's going to be the number 3 back there as we get forward. But anyways, as we're looking at this, I'm going to lean towards the 49ers, but I think the Dolphins are going to be pretty feisty in this one. They have a lot to play for as they stay ahead of the Buffalo Bills. But we'll get to our game of the day. The Chiefs at the Bengals, baby. Start everybody. On the Bengals side, you're starting Burrow, you're starting Mixon, you're starting Higgins, you're starting Chase, you're starting Hayden Hurst. The one guy I'm shy on is Tyler Boyd. He's been kind of flimsy the last couple games here, so don't even trust him with Chase back. Ryan, continue to hold Ryan, because if Mixon gets another concussion or he gets dinged up again, we know Ryan is basically an RB1 if no Mixon. And don't start that Bengals defense against the Chiefs. But you want to get the guys in the lineup. I have Higgins over Chase as a wide receiver 1 this week because Higgins he's really hot. He's playing fantastic ball right now. It's Chase's first game back. Maybe he's a little limited, not quite himself quite yet. So you still start Chase, but I think Higgins is too hot to ignore right now, and I'm going to rank him as a top 10, top 12 running wide receiver. On the Chiefs side, I mean, you're starting Kelsey, you're starting Mahomes. Juju was kind of just getting his way worked back into the offense last weekend, so I think he's a wide receiver 3 flex play. MVS can be an interesting flex play if you need it. I don't love it, but he does make big plays every now and then. I think at this point, Pacheco has earned a low-end RB2 flex play. He's the man there. And then say no to the Chiefs defense. We don't want any defense in this one. This one's got like 52 projected points in it, so stay away from these defenses. Sky Moore, I picked Sky Moore up in a couple of my deeper 12-team leagues on the end of my bench. He's been getting 6 targets the last 2 games. I like what I'm seeing there. I don't expect Kadarius Toney to play. And then keep an eye on Jerick McKinnon in this one because it's high scoring. Chiefs are going to have to throw the ball. Maybe McKinnon is the RB2 flex play you need if you need a deeper play. And then Ronald Jones is starting to get some carries, so just keep an eye on that. But super fun game here. I like both chances here, but I'm going to go with the Bengals at home here. We'll move on to the final afternoon game of the day, the LA Chargers at the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't think Mike Williams is going to play. Let's look and see what he did today. I believe correct, DNP. So assume no Mike Williams. With that being said, you're still going to start Herbert, who's coming alive the last couple games. He's a top 5 QB in this one against the Raiders. You're starting Eckler. You're starting Keenan Allen. I think Josh Palmer has earned himself a wide receiver 3 flex play. He's been a pretty nice target lately. Should be good for double digits. Gerald Everett's in play if you need a tight end streaming option. And then DeAndre Carter, he keeps finding a way to make plays. If you're in a deeper league or you need someone to flex, I suppose Carter can be an interesting play this week. And in 12-team leagues, he should be picked up at the end of the bench because as long as Mike Williams is out, Carter's going to be the next man up. Maybe the Chargers defense. I'm only going to use the Chargers defense if no Josh Jacobs, though. So I'll say that. Josh Kelly's the backup there, Isaiah Spiller, number 3. The Raiders. Let's see here. We love Josh Jacobs. He got a limited practice in today, so he's got a calf thing. We're nursing that. We're watching that. If he does play, you're gonna play him for sure. He's just been fantastic lately, and the Chargers are awful against the run. They're probably the worst team against the run. So Jacobs looking pretty good this week. Derek Carr, a QB2 option for super flex leagues. You're starting Devontae Adams. I think just the way tight end is right now, you want to start Foster Moreau. If you don't have Kelsey, Mark Andrews, Kittle, Hawkinson, Moreau is probably the next man up. Maybe Njoku in there, but I like Moreau a lot. He's got 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games. And then Mac Hollins, kind of just a deeper wide receiver 3 flex in 12-team leagues. Say no to the Raiders defense. Amir Abdullah, Keelan Cole on the bench. Fun game. I think the Chargers, though, they have something to prove. They're 6-5. They're trying to stay alive in that race. They need a Jets loss to the Vikings, and then they can hop them for the 7th seed. So I'll go Chargers here. Sunday Night Football. Shout out to my guy Jesse. He's been calling this one. He wants this one flexed, but it's never gonna be. It's not. They're not flexing Dallas out of a Sunday night game with everybody healthy. So we get to see the Colts again, prime time on the Dallas side here. You're starting Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, all yes. Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. I'm going to rank these guys both as RB2 flexes the rest of the way. Pollard got 18 touches last week and he just didn't get the yard. So continue to use Pollard. I trust him. Michael Gallup can be a deep wide receiver 3 flex play if you need it. He's been playing better. He's due for a touchdown soon. And then start that Cowboys defense for sure. On the Colts side, Jonathan Taylor, yes. Michael Pittman Jr., yes. Both those guys are in your lineup. If you're in a super flex league and you need someone desperately for QB 2 points, I suppose Matt Ryan's going to be okay. I expect the Colts to have to throw the ball to keep up in this one. And then you have Paris Campbell, an emergency wide receiver 3 flex play. I don't love it. Probably not going to trust that Colts defense. Just leave all these guys here on the bench. Jelani Woods popped off the other game, so we'll see if he can do it again. But I'm not inspired for the Colts here. It's going to be all Dallas for me on this one. I think Michael Pittman Jr. is going to have a nice game, though, for the Colts. So we'll go Dallas. And then our Monday Night Football game, the Saints and the Buccaneers. Interesting. Let's look at the practice reports. Actually, there's not going to be any reports because it's Monday night. We'll go real quickly. Tom Brady, a fringe top 10, top 12 QB1. I know he struggles against the Saints at times, but it's at home, so we like that. We'll see about Leonard Fournette. Either if Fournette plays, you're still going to use Rachaad White as an RB2. I like him. Godwin and Evans are in your lineup for sure. Start that Buccaneers defense. If you need someone, Julio Jones can be a wide receiver 3 flex play. We're not starting a Bucs tight end. And then even if Leonard Fournette plays, I'm not going to play him. I want to see what he looks like. It's his first game back from the hip. He might be eased into the lineup. Rachaad White's the guy right now. So I'm probably going to bench Fournette this week if I get questions on him. On the Saints side, Andy Dalton, just a quarterback 2 option for Superflex leagues. Go ahead and continue to start Alvin Kamara. He's been frustrating us the last few games here, but maybe he pops off against the Bucs in the passing game. Chris Olave remains in our lineups as a wide receiver 3 flex. And then if you're fishing for tight end points, I suppose Juwan Johnson, he had 0 points last game, so that was unfortunate. I get it if you don't trust him, but he could have a nice bounce back in this one. And then Jarvis Landry, Jarvis Landry's in that Paris Campbell, that Michael Gallup kind of deep wide receiver 3 flex play. And I'm still open to starting the Saints defense. They have a good defense. Bucs offense doesn't score points. So I'm interested there. But either way, this is going to be a tough NFC South game. The Saints need this one. Their lives are on the line here. If they win this, they still have a shot to win the South. So we'll see. But I'm going to take the Bucs in this one. And that's going to do it for our Week 13 fantasy preview. If you're still here with me watching this video, please leave a comment. Let me know any questions you guys may have, or just say hi, something like that. I'm trying to get more comments and more feedback on the video. So I love putting these out for you guys, and I just want to make sure people are watching to the end. So let me know. Thank you guys so much for your time. We'll see you guys in the live streams. Again, we go live. If you're new to the Fantasy Fellowship, definitely subscribe. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, all that good stuff. But my schedule is I do live shows on Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. Central Time. That's a start-sit program, so we do all that and get your questions answered. And then Thursday night, we do kind of another player news start-sit questionnaire, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. So come hang out with us Wednesday and Thursday. And, we'll see you guys later. Peace.